Hi guys, thanks for joining the session. If I am audible, please drop a yes message in the chat box so we can proceed further. I have enabled the chat box for everyone, so please drop a yes message if you can hear us. Hi Swaraj, if you can hear me, please you can just unmute yourself and have a chat.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Swaraj, you are audible. So we will
Uh,
be starting the session in next 5 to 6 minutes. Let's wait for Jayanthy ma'am to join the session. We are waiting for a few more people to join the session. We will start the session in next 2 to 3 minutes. If I'm audible, please drop a yes message in the chat box so we can proceed further.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope all of you can hear me clearly. So let's go ahead and start. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope this is a very informative session and a useful session since all of you have taken the time out to join us today. We also have a very interesting guest at the end of the session. So do hang on until I give you all the information, and then I will take you with the session as well. So today in this session, I'm basically going to give you a complete understanding of why Europe is one of the leading destinations for Indian students and why you should seriously think about it. I hope at the end of the session, all of you are convinced that this is really there are a good number of countries here where you will get some quality education and it will also pave a way for a successful career path. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Before I start, let me give you some quick intro about Galvanize. Those of you who don't know, just to give you an idea of what we do, we work with students like you guys as well as professionals who are working, but do not have the time to explore how to study abroad, what are the things that are needed. So we take care of all of that completely. We help students with their bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees. We also, give test preparation for SAT, GRE, TOEFL, and IELTS. And we also help students build their profile if they join us in early enough. Okay. We are a company that is founded and managed by alumni from Stanford, IIT Madras, and IIM Ahmedabad. We have helped students. We have been in the study abroad market for about 10 to 12 years now, and we have helped students from 65 plus countries. Our entire counseling is completely online. So no matter where you are, we will be able to help you out. You can also check out some of our reviews, and you should definitely do that, before you decide to join us. Check out our reviews, see what students have to say about us. And even before that, we are happy to get on a call with you and discuss your profile and things like that. So, like I said, we have worked with countries from all over the world, and we have also gotten our students accepted in 2000 plus university across 18 plus countries. These are some of the names that I have listed here. Obviously, we couldn't list all, but these are some of the top universities that we have helped our students to get into. Okay, a quick intro about myself. I am the admissions head at Galvanize. I work with a team of counselors and editorial advisors who work with students like you guys and counsel you in getting the best admits for your profile. I have experience of myself studying in the US as well as working over there for a very long time. And for the last few years, I've been here at Galvanize working with students. Okay, so let's go ahead and start without any further delay. Now, basically, what I want to do in this session is I'm not going to give you the information that you can very easily find out in Google. I'm not going to pick a country and then say, in this country, these are the documents you need, this is the admission process. I think that is something that we will do when we have identified the country that you want to go to and where we are able to completely personalize the process for you. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you an idea on how you should think about this process. How do you even decide whether, Europe is the destination you want to look into? And then within Europe, how do you decide which country you want to pick? Okay. So while I may not be able to go into a lot of details, but I'll leave you with a thought on how you should think and what are the things that you need to think about when you make this decision of studying abroad. And then we will then connect with you separately if you have more questions and continue the discussion. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about how you should think of Europe as a study destination, not from the point of view of a tourist version. I'm not going to tell you, oh, these are the countries, this is what it is and things like that, but give you a more realistic and holistic view. We will talk about, real ways to think about your ROIs, what are the funding paths that you can explore, work opportunities after you finish your degree, and so on. Okay, so that's how we are going to start. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the big shift that is happening. So, I'm sure that all of you would have read that Indian students are diversifying their destinations. And I think it is more in the news now because of the recent developments in the US, because of the visa challenges that have happened over there. But I think it's not a recent thing. It is something that has always been there. It's just that, US was always considered as a top destination. And remember, mind you, it still is. But doesn't mean that Europe is something that has just come into the picture. No, it has always been a strong contender, which is obvious because of the number of extremely high ranked universities that are there all over Europe, as well as some niche programs that are available in Europe. Okay. In fact, data shows that the number of Indian students who have gone to Europe have actually almost doubled in these years between 2018 and 2025. And also, we are projecting that about 25% of the Indian students in 2025 will choose Europe. Of course, this is not a set number. This is something that, everybody is predicting based on the what is happening in the market and things like that. So this is just to give you an idea that it has become a strong contender even now, but it was always a strong contender. Now, why is it a strong why is it a strong contender among the Indian students? Now, you have to think about, we as Indian students, what will we do? We think about the cost. We want to make sure that, whatever we are paying for, the degree that we are paying for, it is actually worth it. So we always want to think about the ROI. And anybody, no, not just an Indian student, but any international student who is looking to study not in their country, will always think about the visa reliability. After you finish your degree, how stable is the country? Are they going to be able to give you a visa for work purposes? And if you really like the place and you decide that that is where you want to settle down, then what are your options at that time? The other important factor that students consider when they are looking for a position internationally is the employability. They always see that if I go to a particular program or I go to a particular university, what are the chances of me getting a job after I finish my degree? Okay, so that is very important, and those are some of the lines that you need to think about when you decide which program and which country you're going to pick for your study abroad journey. Okay. Now, the smarter strategy, in my opinion, is not many times when we talk to students, we understand that they have not done the research. Somebody has told them, or their seniors have gone to this country and they are doing really well there. So they decide they are going to go there. Or their friends are going, and that's why they are, just tagging along for the ride kind of a thing. So I think what we need to do, as what you guys need to do as smart students, is think about the whole process as an investment, not as a tourist. You're not going to a country to study, to look at the sites over there. You're going to go there to get a degree. And then after getting that degree, you want to make sure that you have a good job, you have good visa stability. And if you decide to settle down there long term, is there a place for you? Is there an option for you to do that? So these are some of the factors that you have to consider. Okay. So you shouldn't say, where are your friends going? You should basically be asking, where is the best return on my education? Okay. For what I'm paying? Because let's accept the fact that getting funding for international students is difficult, especially in this climate, because of various reasons. We have ourselves seen that our students have been getting lesser and lesser scholarships over the last few years, or they don't get scholarships up front. They get it once they go to the university, and the professors and the department see that these students are actually worth the scholarship. So that's why it's very important that when you decide where you want to go, you take all of these factors into consideration. Again, like I already talked about, What is the long-term work stability? If you get a job, will that company process your visa? So that is something very important that you have to know. And the other thing is, many of you I have seen, especially something that I'm really happy about, is many students, when they come to us, they really want to do research. They are very interested in doing research. They are very curious. They want to innovate new things. They want to research new things. And at times they may not have those facilities in their home country. So in such a situation, if you are that kind of a person, you want to see where can you get research access, okay? Where can you get good labs? Where can you get good infrastructure that you will be able to carry out excellent research. So that is again something that you have to think about. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about all of these things in Europe. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to do country wise, like I said. I'm going to think about Europe as basically an opportunity system, or I'm going to divide it into three archetypes. Okay. So first one that I'm going to talk about is the high ROI tech powerhouse. And some of the countries that fall into this category are Germany, Sweden, Finland, and Netherlands. The next I'll talk about global business and policy hub. So these are, where you want to go for your master's economic related programs. Some of these are France, Ireland, Belgium. And the last one that I will talk about is the innovation corridor, where you get access to extremely good research facilities, as well as if you want to innovate something, these are some options that you have to look at. Okay. Now, having said that, there are many more countries. I can't obviously list all of them here. At the same time, there may be intersection between each of these archetypes as well. It's not that if you want to do a STEM program, you can only go to Germany, Sweden, Finland, or Netherlands. You can also go to some other countries which have good programs. But for the sake of this webinar, I have classified it like this. Okay. So each of these archetypes is designed for a different kind of success. As a student or a study abroad aspirant, the first thing you need to do is find out in which of these categories do you fall? Where are you going to do well? So that is the most important thing. Okay. Now, the first one is the high ROI tech powerhouse that I talked about. And here, basically, broadly, the countries that fall into this category are Germany, Finland, Sweden, and Netherlands. Now, if I were to give you a really catchy title about them, it's basically these are the countries where you will get the maximum value for your education with minimum debt. Okay. And why is that? Because there are many programs here which offer, many universities in these countries which offer low tuition. Now, what I mean by that is every country has two types of universities, broadly speaking: public universities, which are funded by the government, and private universities. Many times we see that the public universities have very low tuition fees, irrespective of the country. So this is the most attractive thing for most of the students, is to try and get into a public university where also the education quality is very high. Just because it's public and because it's funded by the government, you pay less fees, doesn't mean that you are compromising on your education. You still get top class education. So these are the universities that many people target. Now, obviously, everybody wants low fees. So the competition is extremely high. Okay. Private universities are also good, but the fees is higher. So again, based on your profile, you have to decide which country is going to work for you and what are the universities that are going to work for you over there. Okay. Now, these countries also offer very STEM intensive programs. So if you are interested in engineering, any of the STEM courses, data driven students, then these are the countries that you need to primarily look at. Okay. Again, because of the programs, because of the high demand for these graduates, you are more employable. So you do get good opportunities for work after finishing your degree. Now, some of the key factors are, let's talk specifics about a few things that I would like to highlight. Like, for example, Germany and Finland offer low tuition for in public universities, like I talked about. Sweden and Netherlands are known to have extremely good labs, and they are known to, really offer excellent education, faculty from all over the world, and definitely a better quality of life as well. Okay. The nice thing is, because Indian students have, really want, study abroad for, like I said, the numbers have doubled in the last few years. Many of these countries are also offering a lot of English taught programs now. So it's not necessary that you have to know the language completely to study there. Knowing a language is always great. It's a skill that you can add to your profile. At the same time, it also makes your day-to-day life easy over there. But it is not a requirement for you to study there. So that is really good, because you don't want to be struggling to study in a language that you don't understand. Okay. Um, the other thing is, post-study work rights are extremely good in Germany and Finland. It's about 18 to 24 months. In my next slide, I will also show you all of these in a table, so it will be easy for you to understand. Interestingly, what we also realized is that the Indian students are the #1 international student group in Germany right now. And the nice thing is, I think last year when the Chancellor visited India, they came up with some new programs where they said that after Indian students finish their degree in Germany, they are going to make it easier for them to find employment, to get their visas, work visas, and so on. Of course, that is a thing that is in progress. It's not a thing that happens overnight, but at least the discussions are in the right direction. There are also more more programs in Germany that are being offered in English right now. So that again helps. Many of the Nordic nations, of course, offer a lot of English taught programs, so that makes it easy for you. Now, I also want to highlight a couple of things. For example, in Netherlands, the universities are known to have a lot of tie-ups with the industries in their area. So students get a lot of opportunities for internships even while they're studying. In fact, in some of the universities or programs, an internship is actually a requirement that they have to complete. So those are some interesting options. Secondly, Netherlands and a few other countries in Europe also have something called as an engineering doctorate. I think, which sometimes, when you hear about a PhD, when you hear about pursuing a PhD, you immediately think about a lot of research that has to be done. You think there is no practical value to what you're learning. You want to be, you're not sure if that is something for you. But that's where the engineering doctorate degree comes into picture, because that really, highlights that you can do the best of both worlds. The engineering doctorate still keeps you into the practical field, but as well as you learn understand the research and the theory behind it as well. And this is offered in many universities in collaboration with the companies itself. So that way you also have a pathway for getting job and internships after your PhD. Okay. Okay. So this is a quick table to summarize the tuition, the post-study visa duration, and the average graduate salary that you get upon graduation. Now, these numbers, they may be slightly here and there, but in general, these are the average values. Of course, when I say the tuition in Germany is, for example, between 1 and 3, it doesn't mean that everybody is going to get that same amount of scholarship. It all depends on your profile. And like I said, this is something for the public universities. It's not for the private universities. Of course, you have to pay more fees. What I want you to look at is pay special attention to the edge that I have, highlighted for each of those countries. So if you're looking for engineering and R&D depth, then Germany is an option that you should definitely consider. If you want to go more into the research side, you go into Finland. If you want to do go innovation, new research, then Sweden is an option. And industry collaboration, like I just talked about, then Netherlands becomes an option. Okay. So to summarize this archetype, if this is your fit if you have a STEM background, if you're seeking maximum value with minimal depth, you're comfortable in applied and research learning environment. So it's going to be a combination. It's not going to be a pure research environment, because they are looking for tech fields, they are looking for employees, they are looking for students whom they can employ. So this is more of an applied research learning environment. And you are also interested in an industry integrated masters, which is what I talked about, that is available widely in Netherlands. So these are some options that you can consider if you are from this specific background. Now, having said that, I do want to highlight most of the countries will have a very similar application process. Your academics will be considered. You will need to have good to excellent academics. Even if you don't have excellent academics, you may have, if you have other factors in your profile, if you have some internship experience, if you have a publication, all of those things will also aid your application. What you want to do is you want to make sure you write essays well, so that it highlights your motivation, your path, what is your future, what are your thoughts. All of those has to be highlighted in your essays very well. Now, there are some specific things for each country that you will have to do in, application form, essays, specific type of essays, depending on the university that you're applying, the questions will vary. So all of those things is when we will help you out once we have helped you figured out which country and which universities. Germany has a little bit of a complicated application process, as you may have already known if you have been researching. It has something called as an APS certificate that you need to get, which verifies your degree from your home country. It also has something called as the numerous clauses, which you should know. Basically, when you apply to universities, there is a deadline, and you generally think that, oh, as long as I apply before the deadline, I'm fine, my application is going to be considered. But that's not the case. Many of the programs, what happens is, the universities have a specific number of seats for each program, and when they get the applications, they do not wait until the deadline to start looking at them. They start looking at the application as soon as they get them. So in such a case, if they find suitable candidates to fill up their program, they are going to stop accepting applications. And unfortunately, this is not information that is conveyed in the websites. So when you're applying to universities, it is extremely important that you are ahead in the game. If an application opens in September, I would say that by September, your application document should be ready, and you should then be ready to apply. So it doesn't matter if it's October, you need to apply in October. If just because the deadline is say March 31st, you shouldn't wait until March 15th to apply when the application period has been open for 6 months. Okay, so these are some of the things that you have to keep in mind. Okay, now I'm going to end the first archetype by talking about a case study. This is Pranisha, who had enrolled with us for help with her application process. And if you see that she has a modest GPA, she has done some internships when she was doing her bachelor's. She has a bachelor's in mechatronics, and she wanted to specialize in robotics. So we helped her align her interests very well. We made sure that we helped her position her SOPs and so on, and her essays, so that she she is able to highlight her interest in autonomous systems very well, and that helped her get a great admit. So what you have to realize is that any country in Europe, and especially the ones in the STEM background, in this first archetype that I'm talking about, they look for specificity in your program. If you write a SOP which simply says, I'm interested in engineering, I'm interested in mechanical engineering, that is still slightly specific. But within mechanical engineering, you should be able to highlight what is your specialization. What is it that interests you in mechanical engineering? What are you planning to specialize in? So these are some of the things that you have to know, and these are some of the things we will help you with if you don't know about it. Okay. So similar programs in Finland and Sweden also offer parallel research access with English taught. So like I already mentioned, all of these countries have English taught programs. The application process varies a bit from country to country. That is where we will help you out with. But you need to understand what your interests are, and that will help us narrow down options for you. Okay. So now moving on from the tech sector, let's look into the policy meets business triangle of Europe. So here I'm specifically talking about France, Belgium, and Ireland. These countries are known as the global business and policy hub. Okay, why? Because some of them have some of the top management schools. They are global headquarters for some companies, and they also have extremely good post study options. Okay, so here not only are you able to get good ROI for your investment, you are also getting good exposure, and that also comes in forms of networking with various people and getting you a lot of exposure, which helps you in getting jobs. Okay. Here again, in these countries, you will find that you have English taught master's programs specializing in business, analytics, and management. There are strong corporate ecosystems here. So, finding a job, internship during your degree will also become easier. And I think that based on our research, these are some of the countries where you have the easiest post-study work transitions. 90% of the programs are English taught, so it's very seamless for Indian students. And the nice thing is, you do get a good MBA degree from some of the universities here, and you may actually pay 60%. It actually turns out to be about 60% cheaper than if you had to get an MBA from a US school, which is one of the top schools. France, for example, has excellent programs for MIM, excellent MIM programs. Ireland's employability rate is almost 94%. So this is very true because we have sent a number of students to Ireland, and all of them have managed to find jobs relatively quickly after finishing their degree. And they definitely like the way of life there. They really like the quality of life that they get over there. So that is definitely an option. Belgium is an extremely good option for policy related programs because it gives you direct exposure for all of those programs because it hosts a lot of the key institutions related to policy making. So here is a snapshot of the tuition, post-study visa, employment rate, and edge. So I do want you to particularly look at Ireland, which has excellent. It has a 24-month post-study visa option where you get that much time to look for a job and this. And if you see, the employment rate is all about 90% in all of these countries. So these are some of the options that you should definitely look at if this is the kind of program that you're interested in. So again, I cannot repeat this enough. Don't just look at the ranking of the universities. Look at the programs. Identify what you want to study and then decide which is the country that will offer you the best option. Okay. So now who is this archetype going to fit? So students with commerce, economics, business analytics, and management backgrounds, this could be your archetype. These are the programs that you could look at. MA, MBA, MIM, business analytics aspirants. If you're looking for corporate exposures, internships in the EU headquarters, then you definitely need to look at these countries. And you prefer English taught programs. So now this again is a very personal choice. There are many students who we come across who have excellent German skills, and they only want to go to Germany. That is again their choice. There are some students who know the language but know that they can't study in that, so then they look for English taught programs. But majority of the students that we encounter prefer English taught programs. And obviously faster job absorption is also one quality that they want. Now, if you want to stay in a cosmopolitan city while you are studying, then these are some options that you can again look at. Okay. Okay, great. Quick case study. I have an example of Kanak here, who I think was with us 3 years ago. She had a bachelor's in EEE with a GPA of 7.98, had done some virtual internships, some Coursera certifications. She had done an analytics internship that she got through campus placement. She was very clear when she came to us. She said she wanted to be in the data field. She wanted to be in the data science field and with enough industry exposure. So that helped us, understand that, maybe Ireland is a good fit for her. So she got into Maynooth University, which is one of the top 10 universities in Ireland. She finished her master's in data science and analytics last year. And within 6 months, she was able to get a full-time job right there in Dublin. So these are some of the advantages that you will have for picking these making sure that you are in the right country for the right program. Okay, so the takeaway from this case study is that if you want an industry integrated curriculum, then you need to make sure that you identify the correct program in the correct country, and that will result in faster ROI for you. Okay, now, so we talked about two archetypes. The first one that I talked about was, about engineering and productivity. The second one was more about corporate exposure, going into the management fields. Now, the third one are the kind of students that I see extremely growing in numbers these days are the ones who want to do research, ones who want to innovate, ones who want to build things. And for them, these are the emerging countries these days, Switzerland, Denmark, and Norway. Okay. Here, the advantage of these countries is because they are rich countries, they have a lot of money that they, use for R&D in their countries. Their universities are well funded. They have research intensive programs and there is a strong mentorship culture. So, the moment you land in those universities, you are assigned an advisor who works continuously with you. You have a team where, you can bounce off ideas and things like that. So these options are fit for students who are driven by research, innovation, and sustainability. Okay, so here you get the exposure, you get the option, you get the freedom to innovate and actually make an impact. So like I talked about, they have a high R&D spend. So obviously that translates into extremely well-equipped labs and infrastructure, giving you the option to explore all of that. You have smaller cohort sizes. So because they are so specific about the type of work they do, they are also very high achieving, labs and individuals. So they are very picky in the people they choose. So because of that, what happens is you work with a very smaller cohort. It is very difficult to get in, but if you have an excellent profile, if you have that urge, if you have that motivation to do something, then you definitely should try applying in these countries. They are research-rich universities. They focus more on research than on coursework. So the nice thing is that, probably from within a few days after you land there and you have settled in, you will be able to jump in and start doing research right away. Whereas many other countries, make you go through many other programs. They make you go through a set of courses first to get all the tools, and then only they let you do research, which in a master's program may not be as much because a master's program is generally for 1.5, 2 years. So you may do courses for 1 year and then, by the time you start doing research, it may be time for you to graduate. But these countries that, do this kind of work where they have a high R&D budget and they are able to focus more on research, they give you the option of starting your research program right away. The nice thing is the next nice thing is that PhD transitions are easier. Even if you go there for a master's program, once they have seen how well you work, how motivated you are, they do offer PhD programs, PhD options for you. And most of the PhD options are fully funded. Now, the one thing about Europe that drastically differs from the US is that in the US, you can apply for a PhD program directly, even if you don't have a master's. And the next thing is you can just apply to the university. And once you get the admission, then a faculty actually sees whether he or she can give you funding. So until and unless that path is done, you don't know whether you're getting a funded PhD or not. Whereas in Europe, it's not like that. It's basically like looking for a job. So only when there is a vacancy that they actually post option that they're looking for a PhD candidate. At the same time, or the professor first will look at your profile, and he or she will, only if they really like your profile and they feel that they can work with you, only then they will ask you to even apply. So they save you that time and energy from applying with unless and until they know for sure that you are going to be one of the candidates they will consider. So that is the nice thing about Europe. So again, the bad thing or the downside of that process is you have to start doing the Euro process very, well ahead of time, because it doesn't matter, the deadlines don't matter anymore. If you're looking for a PhD position in Europe, then it's the vacancy that matters. So you have to reach out to professors, you have to email professors, you have to look for vacancies in research groups that are posted. So all of that groundwork takes a lot of time. So again, always being ahead of the game and not starting too late is the key factor here. So the innovation type universities and countries are good for students who are fit for science, research, and innovation focused students. So just to put a little perspective to what I was talking about, Switzerland's R&D spend per capita is known to be the highest globally. So you can imagine how well equipped their labs are going to be. Okay. So again, to give you a quick snapshot, if you look at this, I've highlighted that the PhD programs are generally funded. So, that is an option that you should definitely look for if you're considering PhD in any of these countries. And you can look at the edge that each of these countries offer as well. Okay. So whom are these countries for? So these are, you can look at this type, the third archetype is for you. If you are a research driven student looking for niche STEM or science pathways, you are interested in small research oriented cohorts. You don't like so many people in a lab. You don't want to be in big labs. You don't want to attend classes with 30 other students. You prefer faculty mentorship and innovation driven projects. Now, because they are all highly funded and research oriented cohorts, you get a lot of one-on-one faculty mentorship with your advisor. So that is really valuable. And especially if your mentor is from a well-known university, has good connections, that really paves way for you to get a job after your degree. And of course, if you want fully funded and low cost programs, then this is an option you need to look at. So here I have a case study of Sham. Again, he told us when we reached out to him, halfway through his program, he said that they have a research first model. So he has a very interesting background. He has an engineering background, but he was always interested in math. So he worked on something called as a polar code algorithms. He was able to co-author a paper during his master's itself as ETH Zurich. Now, after finishing his master's, he is now, he's currently pursuing a fully funded PhD in data systems. So the takeaway is that early research exposure, no post-degree waiting, all of these are some of these factors that will help you, decide about Europe and then decide which country in Europe. Okay. So To summarize, basically, I have not talked to you specifically about any country. The reason being that once you identify your country, then we will always help you with the process and everything in detail. Moreover, since this is a Europe-centric webinar, I wanted to give you a overarching view. And when we will drill down to the, each country specifics when we do our subsequent country webinars in the next few months. And also, before that, obviously, do not wait for our webinars to start your process. Do reach out to us. We will then be able to analyze your profile and help you out and help you understand what is it that you need to do to make sure that you have a standout profile. Okay. I will also be talking about smart application and some scholarship strategies and how Galvanize will help you in that. But before I do that, I'm going to call upon our guest, Swaraj. He is a Galvanize alumni. Moreover, he's also a TUM alumnus, and we are very happy that he has taken out the time to come and talk to you guys today. We thought it would be interesting to hear from a student who has recently gone through the process of finishing his masters, and how what he is going to do next. Okay. So he has completed his masters from TUM, and he's currently in the process of wrapping up his thesis, and he's going to be starting to look for applying for PhD programs. So hi Swaraj, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here, ma'am.
Great. So the way we'll do it is I'll ask you some questions that have been sent to us by our students, and maybe some of them are even attending the session today. And
Mhm.
feel free to talk as much as you feel, and you don't have to really stick to the specific question. But if you think something is a natural elaboration, please go ahead. So I'll start with when you were, maybe going 2 years back, when you were thinking about studying abroad, what made you pick Europe for your master,
So my background lies mostly
and
in.
why specifically Germany? So if you can,
All right, sorry.
yeah,
You
yeah,
are
please
not
go ahead.
audible for a second there, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that you have already covered what are the good reasons of coming to Germany in your arts types. But for me specifically, I am an aerospace engineer, and I chose Europe because it's one of the best places to study space engineering, because it has agencies like European Space Agency, Airbus, Ariane Group, OHB. Um, so the ecosystem here, basically the industry partners are very strong, and the opportunities here in specifically my field are good. And also many universities focus on this practical project based learning kind of strategy, which is important in my field. Plus, compared to other countries, I feel that Germany has uh, quality education for a much affordable cost. I guess I could sum up this question here.
Okay, got it, got it. Great. Agreed. So just a follow-up question.
Mhm.
Were you aware of these opportunities even before you applied, or is this something that you realized when you were doing your master's at TUM?
I would say not entirety of the opportunities available here were known to me when I was back in India, but when I decided to come here and when I actually spoke to my professors here and had a good networking by the events at the university, that is the time I realized, okay, there's a lot of thing can be done here, and I guess yeah,
Okay.
that yeah.
Got it. Okay, great, great. Okay, so this is more of a question, not very academic based. So how was it the first few days after you landed in Germany? Because we often talk to students and parents before they decide to go, and many of them are not aware. They think that it is extremely difficult to get along in Germany without knowing the language and all of those things. So, how was your experience for the first few days?
Well, what you have heard is absolutely true.
Okay.
It is definitely hard, but for me, I would say that it was a mix of excitement and chaos for me. Everything was different, right from the culture. even the simplest things like grocery shopping, for example. So I would say that the Germans live in this specific box, which we foreigners usually call it as German box. So they have these certain rules and regulations which are followed. So getting out of that box is not something what you want to do here. You have to learn to get through the system, and you have to get indulged in it enough to know it better. And once I was able to find my way through it, uh, finding a good bank from a bank account, having a good mobile number, and basic registrations for foreigners. All these basic things, when they were done, um, after a month or so, I got used to it, and then I could really find my way of doing things here. So it is tough, but then you eventually find your way.
So,
You just have to
does the
respect the German
university
box.
help in some of these? Yeah. Okay, got it. So does the university help in part of this orientation and onboarding process? Do they have some kind of programs where you know where you need to go and open a bank account? What are the things that you need to do as an international student? Do the universities help you in that?
Uh, Not specifically the universities, but these most of the universities, especially in TUM, we have this small group of people of the
Mm.
foreigner community, especially Indians. So they help out on like basically the onboarding of new people here, and if we have any questions, they help us out. They give us a college tour. They assign us a buddy so that we can speak out if we have problems settling down. Initially, I would say. So yeah,
Mm.
definitely not specifically as in universities, but there are a lot of groups of people who can really make it easy.
Got it. How about
Yeah.
the accommodation? Is that easy to find?
Finding an accommodation is like finding a job in Germany. Because everything is, as I said, the German box. People are asking you that, what kind of a person you are, when do you sleep, when do you get up, what kind of food you have, how would you be cooking. So all this, it feels like an interview when you're finding an accommodation, but um, as tough as it sounds, it's really quite easy, because generally students find accommodation before they land here. So that's a good thing, I might say. Uh,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay, got it. Great. Cool. Very interesting. Okay. So going back to when you did the application, again, I know that your program, of course, your university is very well ranked. So what do you think in your application really stood out that made that part where, you knew that you would get into TUM? What do you think worked in your favor in your application?
Well, I guess I can only speculate
Yeah.
what was the good in my in my profile. But I think my application stood out because there was a clear connection between what I have done in my
Mm.
undergraduate and what I'm going to do in my masters. I have also mentioned specific experiences which I had during my undergraduate, like doing an internship or having a part-time job in India, and having the skills to be documented in a specific manner according to each course and each university. So that kind of helps, narrow down the SOP particularly for a particular university. And I guess that really helped. Um, I guess adding a few research papers of the current faculty over here, that also gave me an edge in my SOP.
Mm.
Uh, and I think that, yeah, the clarity which I had and the technical foundation which I had laid back in my undergraduate, that uh, would have stood out and probably made a difference.
Great, great. Okay. So I hope everybody who's listening, especially noted down this point that when you do your SOPs for a particular university, you can't send out a generic SOP. You want to make sure it is customized for the program that you want to apply. You need to make sure that you have done the research, you have actually visited the program website, seen the faculty there, see what research they have done to see which of that research closely aligns with your interest. So that kind of shows the admission committee that you are planning ahead. you have some kind of a idea on what you want to do when you land at the university. So please keep that in mind. Okay. So I think you touched upon this a little bit in the earlier question. So as an international student, how were you able to manage costs over there? Because obviously it's more costlier than India, and you're also living there as a student. So how were you able to manage that, just to give us some idea on what you did?
Well, I am no expert in personal finance, but I think that keeping my expenses structured in a way
Hmm.
that helped me. I mean, having a flashy, lavish lifestyle is not something what you want to do here. Uh, you know, keeping it basic, having all your needs, requirements, very basic and properly structured. I also landed many part-time jobs, which are called
Hmm.
HEVI here, which are like student assistant jobs in the university. Well, they pay enough amount that you can easily handle your expenses for the month. Also, I
Okay.
would like to add that I like as every other student comes into Germany by having a blocked account. So living on exactly the blocked account money is not something what you want to do here. Uh, you have to find out opportunities and probably get a job or something which helped me specifically structure how I'm going to financially plan out. And also I didn't have any tuition fees, so that's just cherry on the
That,
cake.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I think that reduces your stress to a large amount because you didn't have tuition fees. But I really liked your point on what you said, that just because you have money in the blocked account, don't think that, oh, okay, I have so much money. I think it's very important that when you go to a new country, while you may be, you know, just amazed at the opportunities, at the options available, and the things that you can buy, and to a large extent with no supervision also, that can really trip some students. So we have had some students who had a difficult first semester, and then it took them some time to get back on track. So I think it's very important and useful what you have told. Okay. So currently, in the current situation, what do you, if you had to give us any insights on, the situation for internships and the job scene there, what would you add?
Uh, I would say that internship and job are two different ball games because internship is something which is easily, you can get it easily at good companies, even probably at the European Space Agency. But an internship doesn't guarantee a job. But all that it can do is it can increase the exposure, you increase your network in the industry, and probably you can add it to your CV. So I think that getting an internship in Germany is pretty much easy, but getting a job is something that you have to um, really think about, that what is exactly that you want to work in, because the companies have these very specific tailored positions, I would say. So no, so a person say like me, I'm studying aerospace engineering. I cannot apply to a number of different jobs just because I have a background of aerospace engineering. What helps me, what I want to say here is that some companies do offer internships and they also offers job in the same exact position, but getting into both of them is two different like ball games.
Hmm.
And currently, I mean, I'm just completing my thesis, but I already have landed a research position at a research institute, so it's kind of like a job. But my experience is that for me, getting a job was much easier than getting an internship, because in my case, most of the internships were required language, and I was pretty much stubborn in my early semesters about learning German, which backfired on me, and that's why I think that for me, internships was something which I couldn't land initially. But then the jobs were kind of an easy thing for me because there's a tailored fit for you, and you can easily work your way up. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So, just out of curiosity, Since you're in an aerospace program, the jobs or the internships for that matter, do they require any kind of citizenship? Because what I've noticed in the US especially is that many of the aerospace jobs are, government funded jobs. So therein there is that problem that they give those kind of jobs or positions only to, citizens or permanent residents. Is that also the case here, or here it's not like that?
It's exactly the case here because space engineering comes under Department of Defense in many countries. Uh, Even if a person is working on something like satellite data, if the data is concerning of national security, it you will have no chance getting a job over there.
Okay.
But there's always a way around these things because not all of the all of the positions, they don't have a national security threat or something like that, but you can still apply there, but they won't be giving you that particular sector to work on. they
Work on.
they might probably give you something else. In this case, I would say the satellite data, which is not concerning the national security, that would be something which you would be working on, and not the other one.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I also mentioned few minutes back that you're applying for PhD positions. So how do you think? So okay, let me restructure the question a little bit. Very often we get students who have completed just their bachelor's and they directly want to jump into a PhD program. And unfortunately, many times it's for reasons like, the PhD is funded, but the master's is not funded. So while we advise them against it, especially in US universities, which directly are known to take bachelor students directly, but then obviously the competition is also higher because they are competing against students who have already completed their masters. So I think what I'm trying to ask you is, do you think that since you have completed your masters from Europe, it will strengthen your chances of getting a PhD better as opposed to if you had decided to directly apply for a PhD after you had finished your bachelor's?
Yes, I think definitely. First of all, I don't think that anyone can really make a decision without doing a master's that they really want to do a PhD or not. Because
Correct.
PhD, according to me, is not something where you are studying, where your professors are helping you out. It's more of a um, I guess, a job where you're working alone for a long, long period of time on a particular topic. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't want to go into the debate that if an application is good enough right after doing an undergraduate for going to a PhD, but uh, certainly the idea is fascinating, but I would still, um, you know, advice against it because once the masters is done, then you have more insights into what actual topic you really want to do a PhD in. Just because you are getting a funding, that doesn't mean that you would be ready to do that for the rest of your life. So I think that is my way of thinking because when I was doing masters, I still didn't have a clarity whether I really wanted to do a PhD or not.
Hmm.
But when I started checking out the list of topics, some were interesting for me, some b- were interesting for me, but then they didn't quite fit in my profile. I really wanted to do it, but then I didn't have the expertise to do it. So that is what motivates that, okay, you have to study more or probably have more networking in particular areas where you are really interested to do a PhD in. I guess that increases the clarity which anyone can have.
Yeah, got it. Great. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think we do advise the counselors in Galvanize also try to advise the students about that because I think the learning curve is also very steep if you directly go from a PhD to from a bachelor's to a PhD. And the expectation is also higher. As you rightly pointed out, that a PhD is an independent program. It's, you people who want to do a PhD have to be really committed and know that, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to invest my next 5 years in doing this program. So, yeah, got it. Okay, so I think the final question is, there are many students, I'm sure, in the audience also who are, thinking about studying abroad, but they obviously are overwhelmed, and I think all the news around us also doesn't help, in making a decision. So if you were to advise somebody, what would you be? What should the starting point be? And, how would you help them? Any tips to help them navigate this process?
Uh, well, I think that feeling overwhelmed is quite normal. Everyone goes through it, and I think that the important thing is to move step by step, building your profile, working on projects, landing internships, researching the right programs, specifically. Um, I would also say that it's not easy to study abroad, but it is definitely worth it. So basically you'll be growing personally and professionally, and the opportunities which you'll be getting in Europe is uh, basically you still don't know what opportunities lies ahead of you, and that might open a lot of doors that you don't even imagine. So keep it natural, just work your way, find your path.
Thank you so much, Swaraj. And if anybody from the audience has any questions for Swaraj, please type it up and then he'll answer it for us. So let's give them a few minutes to type up their questions. In the meantime, thank you very much, Swaraj, for taking out the time and talking to us. I'm sure that the audience and the students really appreciate hearing from someone who has recently gone through the process, and your views about very honest views, not sugarcoating things. I think that really helps put things in perspective for the students as well, because this is a big decision. While it is very rewarding, but it does has its trials during the process. And like you said, the degree abroad makes you grow professionally, and more than professionally, I also think personally it rounds out your personality quite a bit. So, okay. So while we wait for them to post their questions, let me quickly finish up the last 2 to 3 slides that I have. So here at Galvanize, I've already talked about the approach that you should take for your application process. So let me just tell you how Galvanize can step in. So once you come into our system, once you enroll with us, we will understand your profile. We will have these kind of discussions with you. What I gave you an overarching view today, you will have this one-on-one discussions with your counselors. Then we will try and see which, we'll give you the options. We will even if you come and tell us, I don't know which country I want to go, that's perfectly okay. We will understand what you have studied, what are your interests, what are your short term goals, what are your long term goals, and based on that we will come up with suggestions of universities for you and programs. We'll give you a shortlisting of universities. Again, when we shortlist universities, we'll make sure that we have categorized them as ambitious, practical, and safe. Because while we want to make sure that you are successful in getting admits, we also want to make sure that you get the best admits for your profile. So we do give you a mix of universities. We help you with the essay process. Now, this is very important. I want to highlight that we won't write the essays for you, but we will be getting inputs from you, because, based on whatever I discussed, the entire process is about you, about what you want to do, about what are your interests. And, even what we talked with Swaraj, what he said is, you want to make sure that you have highlighted your motivation, you have highlighted the research that you have done about the university. So it is extremely important that the storytelling part comes from you. Again, in this age of AI, I see a lot of chat GPT generated essays. While yes, you can use it as a tool to help you understand and write out something, you definitely shouldn't, get a completely chat GPT generated essay and put it across, because universities now have ways to track those things as well. We also help you out with the application process, and we give you options for funding. Now, many of these we will give you the information. The applications for those have to be done by you, but we will at least help you out with those. And then once you have secured your admit, we will help you with the visa and pre-departure guidance. Okay. So some of the scholarships that are available, I'm just going to show you the list and not talk specifically about it. You guys are free to screenshot this and keep it for your reference. But basically, when you apply for a scholarship, you also want to make sure that you're looking, sorry, when you apply for admissions, you also want to make sure you're looking for scholarships. And these are some of the avenues you can explore. Okay. Some of the other features that we help you out with, I know that I didn't specifically talk about GRE because the general this is GRE is useful for US. But we also help students with GRE, TOEFL and IELTS prep. We have test prep courses where we help you, give you a personalized study plan based on a diagnostic test, and then as long as you follow the study plan, we have seen that students have excellent results. Very often students do ask us things like, which is the exam that I need to take? So I have listed some of the features here. TOEFL and IELTS are the most common ones. PT, Duolingo, these are also gaining some traction in the last few years. Okay, so basically the sections on which you are tested are essentially the same: reading, listening, speaking, and writing, but the test length is less in TOEFL. And the entire exam is online, whereas in IELTS you do have a face to face where you have to go and talk about, do the speaking test in front of a person. So all of those things are there, and the scoring is again from 0 to 120 for TOEFL, and 0 to 9 for IELTS, and 0 to 90 for PT. Now, if you were to ask me, we have generally got feedback that TOEFL is easier. I do recommend that you look into those options. And there were some, concerns like TOEFL is not accepted by many countries, but that's not the case. It's widely accepted. So you can definitely look at that option as well. Galvanize has some interesting offers for TOEFL takers. So do reach out to us if you're interested in taking a TOEFL exam. Okay, so as a next step, before we dive into questions, my colleague Sahil has posted a form on the chat, which is, to understand your profile. Do fill it out, and a counselor will call you right away to, understand your profile and help you identify what is your arch type, help you target shortlist universities, funding options, help you with the essays, and so on. Okay. Yeah. So do either scan the QR code that is here, or you can look at in the chat. Sahil has posted a link. You can fill out that form and we will give you a call. Sahil, do we have any questions? Okay. So I do have one question from Samruddhi, and Swaraj, this question is for you. She wants to know, how did you get into Technical University of Munich? What was the process you followed after your BTech degree? So if you can just give us a quick summary of what you did, I think that should help her out.
So I guess I started very early because I had decided that I want to go to Germany right after my bachelor's and not waste any time. So I started probably in fifth semester or sixth semester, something like that. So I had a lot of time planning of where I want to go and what do TUs really want, and I guess shaped my profile in that way. Then I started my application process, basically APS certificate, VPD, and all those things. And then I finally applied. And after my application, I had to wait for 2.5 months for an interview. In my interview, I was asked all sorts of things about the course I'm going to do. But it was much of what uh, I guess it was much of what they wanted to tell me about the course, and wanted to ask me if I was ready for it. And I guess uh, I got my admit in less than 2 weeks of my interview, and right after it, I started my visa process, and I was here.
Great.
Just an
Okay.
overview.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Samruddhi. Thanks, Swaraj. Samruddhi, I hope that answers your question. Uh, okay. So I have another question from Suvankar. He says, "Hi, Swaraj, great answers. I already have a master's from India and some research experience in Australia. He wants to know what are his chances for getting a PhD and in the area of material science."
I'm so sorry. I wouldn't be able to, give out a specific advice on this. I guess you have to talk to your counselor about it, because I guess that getting your profile evaluated is something what you really want to do. And I really don't have an exposure in material sciences, but just in general overview, that what you're saying is you have done your master's, you also have an experience. I think that you're good to go. Just evaluate your profile by a counselor very well, and then I guess you would have your answers.
Yeah. So Ankar, I want to add a little bit to what Swaraj said. So obviously we don't know all the details of your profile yet, but basically, if you have any publications which have highlights your research, and if that is in one of the esteemed journals, that will definitely add to value. Second thing is, you have to decide the country you want to go. Like I said, material science is something that is very prevalent in the US. It is also prevalent in some countries in Europe. So you have to identify what is it that you want to work with. So my suggestion to begin with would be, look at the specific research area that you want to work, and figure out where are the professors doing work in that area. That would then help you, narrow down your countries first and foremost, and then you will be able to take the next step. The thing about PhD is, you US, like I said, as long as you apply before the deadlines, it's enough. But Europe, anywhere, if you're applying, you have to make sure that you reach out to the professors, you look for options, vacancy options that are available before you even do the application. So that step is very crucial. But overall, based on what you said, I think you're good to go for a PhD. I think the matter is to identify the correct country now. Okay. So I hope that answers your answer and gives you some clarity. Okay, I have okay, this I think Swaraj you can answer too if you want. It's basically the Roshan is asking, when would it be an ideal time to apply for APS? Can I have it done once my 7 sem results are out around Jan? Or should I rush early with sem 6 due to the long processing time? So, Swaraj, do you remember when you did your APS?
Uh, like Roshan said, I started in my seventh semester, but not until my degree was in my hand, I got my APS certificate. So when I was applying, the APS was happening in India for the first time. So the process was very slow. They didn't have enough people to process the number of applications, but I guess the timeline now is very fast. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would suggest apply as early as possible, but if you still can wait for a few time, it's fine. But the
Yeah.
main requirement I would say is that, ma'am, they do require a final degree in your documents. So until and unless you don't have it, the processing is going to be a little bit hard.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on if the university requires an APS for your application itself, or if it requires only at visa time. So that makes it very important, when you're applying. So do connect with us, and we'll be able to look at your profile and then decide what are the universities that you're applying to. Based on that is when we'll be able to guide you properly for the APS. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think Subhajit, you have asked a very specific question about supply chain with prior MBA in India, planning 1 year of masters in business analytics with a budget. I think we need to connect with you a little more. If you can send in your resume, I'll be able to answer that question better. Because I can't, based on just what the information you give me, it's a little difficult to tell which country is what we can choose. So do fill out that form and we'll connect with you. Okay. I have a couple of more questions. Okay, again, Priyanka has asked, I have done MBA in India. Should I now do a second master's or go for a PhD? Okay, very specific question to your profile. We would need to see what is the MBA you have done and what your career aspirations are. Because if you're doing an MBA and you have some work experience, if you want to make a transition to a PhD program, then that has to show, your aptitude for research and so on. So we will need to look at that as well. Second masters would make sense only if it is a logical step in your career path. Sometimes it shouldn't, especially in the US, if you're targeting US, at the visa time, they definitely want to check your intentions. So, if it becomes very clear that you're trying to go just for going abroad, then you're thought of as a person with the intent to migrate. So I think slightly specific questions I can't answer now because we're already ahead of time. So do fill out that form and we'll be happy to connect with you over a call with the counselor. I don't see any other questions, so I think we can wrap up. Swaraj, thank you so much again for joining. It was a very interesting session, and I wish you all the best for your PhD applications. And I hope that you really get a great admit. Any last words before we wrap up?
Thank you for having me here, ma'am. I guess that any advice which I have given today or anything I have inspired even a little bit, I guess that makes a difference for me, and that is the only reason why I was here. And I hope
Thank you so much, and we
everything
really
is good.
appreciate you taking out the time. Again, if you guys have any other specific questions for Swaraj, you can send it across in the form, and we will give it to him and get you back and answer through us. Okay. So thank you so much. I hope all of you have a great day and all the best for your next steps.